Try to break it.
May as well.
Alright.
Let's see if they're I can't remember which is on and off on the launch control.
Fucking moves that thing because it's so light. It barely spins the wheels, it just launches forward.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at.
How much speed it picks up. Honestly, we never had any car that picks up so much speed. Mate, I'm sorry, but you've done it wrong.
How many times do we have to do it before we break, till we know it doesn't break?
You haven't broken it, so...
I guess we've got to try again then.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, okay. Make sure I'm in first.
I need to stand somewhere there. So let's try to brake them for the third time. Tires are nice and hot now. He's not gonna run me over.
Driveshafts work.
They work?
Is 3 enough?
Yeah, but you sure?
Fine, yeah.
Fuck me, this thing just picks the speed up. It just launches forward. Fuck. We're just gonna say that this is probably the car that launches quickest that we haven't seen here on this.
And we've seen a lot because James launches all his cars. What, even faster than his AMG?
I think so. I definitely think so. It's not the most impressive. An AMG will do more of a scene because it's like bangs and spin the tires and go sideways. But this is just.
This feels like it pops off. I mean, from the driver's seat, it feels rapid.
It just goes.
Yeah. Well, it's not real any wheel spin. It just fucks off.
It goes.
I like
good
it.
tires and all this stuff. But it
Yeah.
goes.
I mean, they're only skinny tires, but they're tarmac rally tires, so they ain't shy.
Definitely
So,
fucking more.
Yeah.
Even then, when you done it, just spin around.
Yeah.
It wants to move.
Oh,
forward.
it goes forward. Yeah. No matter what. Yeah.
It just wants to
Yeah.
go.
Like if I was drifting it, it would have a lot of acceleration no matter what.
Can you imagine drifting this? You just
I
go
want to.
pull away
Yeah.
from fucking every corner.
Yeah.
pull away.
I'm gonna have to take this on a drift day sometime just to feel, because it does feel like it's gonna want to accelerate away. Even in a cloud of smoke, it's gonna fuck off. So yeah, I think it's getting a tiny misfire. It's probably Darren's fault. He told me earlier he's fine because obviously one of the weak points of these, they've got coil packs. And
yeah, I hear that.
yeah, I've never
there,
in all the 180 things I've had, never had a problem with coil packs. But yeah, tubes about like fuck. And Darren said to me earlier, he goes, you know what? I've had a coil pack go on mine. He goes, and that's like the common thing, isn't it? And
There you go.
I even said to him, I goes, you know what? I've never had it, but I can feel it now. It's got a slight misfire. So it's I've got about 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 spares, so I'll just find one that works.
I'll change off all of them and see if that works.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what Darren did. He said, he goes, I just went down Euros and bought 4 brand new Bosch ones. They're so cheap, it don't fucking matter. But yeah, the shafts work, mate, very well. And on a surface like this, it's so rough.
Yeah,
this is probably one of the harder surfaces for it to work.
It's not a prep surface, but still.
It's a lumpy surface, and that's what's bad on things.
Well, now they're strong enough to launch the car forward so strong. So
yeah, I couldn't realistically launch much harder than that. That was on the launch control, like pretty much full boost, like so. And I didn't slip it much. I did a tiny bit, hardly anything. I pretty much just dropped the clutch. So yeah, these shafts can do it. Fucking awesome.
That's the thing. It's that fucking bite.
Yes, yeah.
And it just.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You know, when the 2 shafts that broke so far, it didn't even go anywhere before it broke. They literally, at the lift of the clutch, that bite is when they broke. So for these to do that over and over again like that, fine,
When you're stood in front of it and you see it just bite, it's coming towards you.
Yeah.
It's very different from looking at it from behind.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck me, that's flying.
Yeah.
When it's coming towards you, you're like, fuck me, that's flying.
like, it comes from nothing. It's here with no time.
Yeah.
I know, like, I always say 0 to 60 don't mean much, but I'm gonna have to get the drag out on it in the next fucking few days and see.
No, I want to
fast.
see it because it launches from nothing to whatever in no time.
Yeah. Well, like I said, like
100%, this is quicker than JC's make it was.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the 60 to 100 time and the 100 kilometers to 200 time is pretty much identical to a 997 GT3 RS or a Porsche, what they call California T's. And both of them are high 3, low 4 to 60. So I'm guessing this would be somewhere around that if I can launch it as well as it possibly could.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
To be honest, for the power the engine makes.
Oh yeah, from
nothing to the
it's 270 horsepower. It's basically a stock engine. You know what I mean? Running 1 bar. It's not like a tuned one of these.
Well, like we were just saying, when you take that into account, and then you watch that.
Yeah.
And then you got people. And then you got people seeing me like, yeah, but why the conversion is so expensive, which is a fucking one of the cheapest you can get. They compare it to
because it goes like that.
To DC conversion. I mean, 4.5 grand because you don't have a fucking turbo. You don't have this.
Yeah.
This is what you're paying.
Yeah. Well, that's what you see. You see people go, oh yeah, but you can turbo 1ZZ and get like similar power.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any of them go well? I haven't yet.
I want to see those boxes holding up.
Yeah, and good luck with those shafts and gearboxes. I mean, trying to launch it like that. So.
That's the thing. It's all included, so not really that bad, is it?
No, fucking ideal. Very happy. I mean, if it could do 3 launches in a row like that on a shit surface like this, it ain't breaking anytime soon. So, like I said, the only possible weak point would have been the thing you welded, and that is strong as fuck, as far as I can see. So, these shafts go nowhere.
If it stays one piece of 3 launches, one after another.
Yeah. And to be fair, the shafts haven't properly cooled down yet, so it's probably not at their strongest anyway. Yeah, you can't even touch them yet. Yeah, they can't even touch them yet. I was burning my
straight out the oven.
Yeah. So no, it's fucking brilliant. Love it. Really love it. And that's another beauty of these things. Even if, like, as long as you was leaving it fairly standard, if it breaks, who gives a fuck? You go and buy another engine for 100 quid. It's like,
I was going to say, at that, I think you would be hard pressed to justify going much further than that.
Yeah, you wouldn't need to. I'm going to, when this blows up, but I'm only going to go rods, exhaust valves, double valve springs, and them cams. So it's literally going to cost me less than £1,000, and maybe double the power, which is ridiculous. But you don't need to. This is, well, you've seen how it goes. You don't need more than this, really.
And you justifying any more than that.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of, I did a thing saying about how much it cost me, and it cost me fuck all, but for the power it's on, it would have cost me a lot less, because I could have done it on standard turbo and standard injectors and standard manifolds. I didn't have to buy them for this level, because the standard shit can do all that. You know, a KO3S, you know, normal 180 brake engine will do about 260 on the standard turbo and injectors, or if you got one out of an S3 or TT with a KO4, you'd probably do about 280, 290 on the standard turbo injectors. And that's fucking just plenty.
Take the engine,
yeah,
put
yeah,
it in,
yeah, yeah.
pretty much.
Flashback.
It was 30 degrees yesterday and I spent most of today pissing down. But I've got a free day for the first time in a very long time. So I'm taking apart engines, my spare ones. Basically to see what's good so I can make some room, throw some shit out. So yeah, that's the 1ZZ that was originally in the yellow car. I've already stripped off the very few bits I wanted from it, and that's just ready to go to the scrap man now. But yeah, that one's gone, don't care about that. That one will probably be going the same way, but we need to ask kind of the owner of that to make sure he doesn't want it. But the first thing I was doing, because that's what I really cared about, when I want to check all the 180s that I've got. I mean, every one of these 180s combined probably has cost me about £300. This one was free. This was the free BAM engine that I got. It was complete. You probably can't remember because I couldn't until I checked it and realised I'd already looked. But a while ago I took the sump off this and you notice the bearings were fucked. I mean, I knew it had a failure and that's why I was giving it for free, but nobody truly knew what was wrong with it apart from the turbo had gone. But I took the sump off ages ago, it seems, and the bearings are cooked. I mean, yeah, they're all bad. Only the big end bearings, as in crank to rod, the actual main bearings, they're not brilliant, but that wasn't what wrote it off. But luckily, and quite surprisingly, everything else is really good. I mean, the turbo was fucked. You'd have to look back at the video when I stripped this down, but the turbo was absolutely destroyed. The sump was full of metal, and the main bearings totally gone. But to my surprise, everything else is good. The head is in brilliant condition, even the cams, and obviously that's the highest up part of the engine, so if there's anything from like oil starvation was going to cause a problem, it would have wear on the cams. But I can't be bothered turning it over because whatever, but they look like new. They are really good. I'm not going to use the cams because I don't need standard cams, but whatever, they look like new. There's no sign of detonation on any of the cylinders. Nothing I can see, just all looks like typical carbon buildup. This one looks, no, again, that's just carbon buildup. So that's good. This is the pistons and rods. Again, no dent marks, no damage. There's actually where the sort of Teflon coating or whatever it is on the side of the pistons, which is normally worn off in no time at all. Most of it is still there on them all. So, in all honesty, I might reuse these. These might be the one to use. They seem good, I must admit. So, unless I spot something when I dismantle them, which doesn't look likely because they look very good. Going by the markings, they're made by Marley. It's not like they're shit pistons anyway. These are all Marley pistons. But yeah, this looks like good pistons that I may reuse with for the big power engine, because the pistons can take massive power just with some rods and exhaust valves and all that shit. This head's not bad either, so whether it's used on this next engine I don't know, but it's a keeper. It's a good head, and the block is good too. Again, a 180 block's a 180 block really, apart from the early ones which I think had they were a different block. Like I said, the crank is fucked, but it doesn't matter with these. It's like, that's the beauty of 180s, they're 10 a penny. So the money it would cost you to fix a crank, like you would want to on a lot of engines, because oh no, it's like, oh, so crank is valuable. Not on these. Everything's so cheap, throw that shit away. So that's going straight in the scrap. So this is one engine down. I will now put this somewhere safe-ish and start with the next one, which will be, I reckon, this one, because this one's already got the head off, and I've no idea about this one. The guy I got this off, I think I gave him 30 quid for it. He reckoned it was a good runner. He only had it as spares, but he never actually did anything with it. But I know nothing about it, so let's see how truthful he was. But this one was supposedly lacquered and it's quite good, so you know. Another thing I say about these engines is they're so easy to take apart. It's a fucking piece of piss. And you know, 4 cylinders not the most complicated things in the world anyway, but as engines go, same as, wow, part of the reason I like them, it's not just the outside stuff that's easy to work on. They're just generally easy to work on, simple engines that are sort of, they're kind of engineered in a way that makes sense, unlike some engines which can be a right ball ache. It's all very logical and easy on these, so, and they're strong. So I do like them. I like them a lot. 30 minutes later, it's still raining like fuck. It's getting even darker, and second engine's apart. I've not taken the crank out because frankly I don't need to, because it's fine. The big end bearings are spot on, the main bearings are spot on. Obviously I'm not going to reuse them, but that shows, you know, I took one cap off and it's one of the ones that's most likely to be knackered if any of them were, and it was fine. So I'm just going to pop that cap back on, and yeah, it's safe to say this engine's all good, can be used another time. It was fucking minging. It was literally an engine that was left in a garden with the cam cover off as well, so it was full of leaves and it was like a fucking milkshake in there, sort of brown milkshake where all water had got in. It was disgusting, fucking snails and all sorts. But underneath all the gunk, the actual internals were really good. There's a piston, absolutely fine. I had to take the rings off this one. The others were fine, but this one felt a bit sticky coming out, and I thought, you know what, I ain't gonna force anything. So once I got it out and it was a bit sticky near the top, I took the 2 rings off and it popped out fine. I don't know what it was sticking on. I was worried it had scratched the ball, or the ball had scratched because, well, because it was sitting in a fucking garden forever, so it got water and stuff in it. But no, nothing. The balls are perfect. There's no rust on them, no scratches, so I've no idea why that one wouldn't come out. But they're all in really good condition, so they can go again. I gave the head a quick wire wheel just because it seemed really clean, and I thought I'd show you because the other one's dirty. So yeah, this head's in great nick. Obviously it's just got shit, you know, carbon on the exhaust valves, but they can't be reused either. You know, you go for uprated ones because these are 2-part from the factory. But yeah, everything's good, actually very clean again, no signs of debt. So yeah, another good head to use. That's why I like these engines. If they are, unless when you buy them they are physically fucked, like if you bought a running car, as long as it's not absolutely fucked and knocking all the oil lights on or something, it's highly likely to be fine, because 2 of these engines have clearly had oil issues, and even them, all they've done is scratched up the cranks, and they're worthless anyway. The actual rest of the engines were fine. And again, I would avoid cars, you see a lot of them for sale, go, oh, the oil light's on but the car's driving fine, or the oil light's on and it's a bit tappy from the top end but it's still okay. It's like, nah, it's not okay, don't buy that one. That oil light might be just because the oil light's on, but it's highly likely the pickup or something is blocked in the sump and it's got low oil pressure and it's fucked everything up. And if the top end's tappy, that's usually because the cam tensioner, because that's oil pressure supplied, has gone loose because there's no oil pressure up there. And while it's probably not damaged the head, if it's got that far, almost always the crank bearings are fucked. So, you know, the crank's scrap at least, even though the block and everything's probably fine. So, yeah, you know, don't do it. But they're so cheap, it's like, who cares? Just get one that does work okay. So yeah, generally, unless there's something catastrophically wrong, you could tell anyway, it's probably fine. Especially if you're planning to build anything out of it. Oh, that's a point. I'm going to be looking at this at the same time as you. But let's compare a normal 180 piston to a BAM one. Right then. So, first things first, they're not the same. You can see the difference. These, I knew these had bigger wrist pins, but the design isn't even the same. Wow, I think this has answered it for me. I'm using BAM ones. Look at the top deck before the first piston. Look how thick the crown is on a BAM compared to the crown is on a non-BAM piston. It's... I'm not going to bother measuring it because who cares. But what's that? That's about 50%. No, it's not half as big again, but it's about more than a third bigger. Look how thick the crown is on a BAM one compared to a normal 180. I did not know that, but I was always told it makes no difference. But fuck no, these BAM ones are stronger. Wow, the thicker top. I mean, these supposedly can still do massive power. Like they always say, any 180 pistons can do 600. But I know out of these two, I'm using the fucking BAM ones. Oh, this is thicker. I don't know if that would really make any difference, but the material on the sides of the piston around the wrist pin is thicker too on a BAM. But the most important part when you're talking collapsing, melting pistons are the crown, and it doesn't take a fucking expert with some micrometers, and it doesn't even take me being bothered to go and find the calipers to see that's not half as much, but about a third larger, the crown on a BAM versus a normal 180. This engine's an AUM, so a 180 basically. And yeah, interesting. I'm glad I realised that. That's made my mind up. I'm using BAMs on the next one. People always wank off about BAMs and oh, they're so much better. You know, the people who don't know, oh, the BAMs are factory forged and all that stuff. Oh, they fuck. They're all, it's the same basic stuff. But I didn't realise the pistons were any different. And whether or not these can still do mega power on, you know, stock pistons, which I know they can anyway, these should be less likely to break, put it that way. Okay, I said I wouldn't bother measuring them because who cares, and it's obvious. But you know me, I'm all about actually having proof and data. So while you can see with your own fucking eyes it's a fair bit bigger, it is. According to these calipers, which are good ones, Mitutoyo Japanese motherfucker ones, they're good. The Thomas's, not the shit machine mark ones I use. Ringland on the 180 piston is 6mm thick, 8.5 for this BAM one. There or thereabouts, 8.5, might be a tiny bit less. It's more than 8 though, and less than 9. So we'll call it 8.5. Either way, it's over 2mm thicker. And I mean, you can see your own fucking eyes, it is. But yeah, there's over 2mm in it. So that's really a good thing I found out, because obviously, yeah, they can both do massive power, but I'd sure as shit rather run the one that's over 2mm thicker Ringland. So now I know.
End of flashback.
I hope by now to have gone through all the spare 180 engines, but I went home the other night after doing the 2. And I thought I'd come back the next day, but then life got in the way, so I couldn't. But I'm back now, and I'm not gonna take them all apart tonight because I can't be bothered. I'm tired, but I'm gonna at least take the head off, if not all of it, off this NA engine to have a nosy. But in other news, the drive shafts are now rated. This is now version, well, let me see. The overly strong ones, it was really difficult to make. The ones that was easy to make but too weak. The other ones which were stronger and still easy to make but too weak. Now, yeah, version 4 we're on now. And these ones, as the video will prove, can definitely handle some hard launches. Like 4,500 RPM, full boost on the launch control, launch on soft compound tarmac rally tyres on a really rough surface, 0 wheel spin really, and it just fucks off with no breakage. So I think it's safe to say these ones can handle pretty much anything. I'll show you the originals actually. This is what broke. The standard 1ZZ shaft, it just broke in the middle. You can see it just clean break, twisted and snapped. As you can probably see, 0 heat damage or anything for anyone thinking, because even we thought, we was like, I wonder if like heat from welding or anything has weakened it or made it, but you can see it's not even hot, it's not got any discoloration, so there's no chance of that. It's just simply these 1ZZ shafts aren't strong enough. And speaking to my friend Lee Connor with the world's fastest Elise, he said the same. He watched the last video. I was meaning to ask him, but he watched the last video when I was talking about drive shafts and then messaged me and said basically his original shafts were a couple of mil thicker than the standard 1ZZ ones, and he broke, I think he said he broke 3 of them quite easily. He said if he launched it at anything more than 7 psi boost, it would snap the shafts, and he got through I think 3 of them quite quickly. And then he got some rated ones which are the same size as what's on this now. In fact, I think they were slightly smaller by a mil or so, but very similar. And he said now, you know, you can launch at 35 psi boost on 4 slicks, and it'll wheelie, it'll lift 3 wheels out the 4 sometimes, and never broken a shaft. So he was like, yeah, you're never gonna break these new ones. And I was a bit worried about the even the spline. Is the spline thick enough? He said, I obviously don't know because he's only seeing pictures, but he's like, I'm pretty sure my splines that go into the hub are thinner than yours. And he said his CV is as well. So yeah, and obviously now I'm running the bigger outer CV too. I'm running the Volkswagen inners anyway, and they're massive, but the new outers I'm running are pretty much as big as the Volkswagen inners. So yeah, it doesn't seem likely it would break, and from the testing which you'll see on this video, it didn't break and it got fucking launched. So good times. It's only been about a week, but I've really fucking missed driving this, so I'm mega fucking happy because these things are race to drive. So on to this non-turbo 1.8T, which is the next one I'm going to take apart. It looks fucking clean, and it also looks like it literally just before it was taken apart and broken for spares had the cam belt done, because I mean it looks fucking, tension and everything looks brand new. It's just had a cam belt change, I would say, in within a few hundred miles of when it was last taken apart. Seems like a good engine. I mean, I'm not going to use any of the bottom end most likely, because the block's different, because it's an earlier block, which is like, it's very different to these blocks. You can even see it don't look the same. I mean, it's the other side that looks most different, but even if you look at this block versus this one, it's quite different. This one looks beefier, I think. Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I can't be sure because a lot of the ancillaries are different, but looking at the depth of, you know, lumps and bumps, this sticks out more, which says to me the block is narrower. So yeah, I think this one's got a lot more, and even like here, this is a lot more vertical versus the outer bit of the block here, whereas this goes out like 45 fucking degrees. So yeah, I mean, this again, this is much more beefed up than this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not sure, but on first glance I would say these later blocks, which is pretty much every 180 you'll ever find, I think there's only early 150s that were like this, or 150s full stop. Quickly whip the head off the non-turbo one. It's a real shame this block isn't the one I'd want to use, because it's still got all the cross hatching on the bores. It's, you know, as you'd kind of imagine from a non-turbo, you know, crappy model, it's had a very easy life. There's literally, the bores are like brand new. This is the cams. They are, you know, I know what, you know, I know they're wider cams than the turbo ones, but even by eye, you can see they're pointier than the stockos. Even the non-turbo base model wanky one has a MLS head gasket from the factory. So yeah, if you've blown a head gasket on a non-turbo 1.820 valve, God knows what you was doing wrong to make that happen, because it's not head gasket integrity that would be failing. So yeah, that's it for this video. The non-turbo 180 bottom end is outside, ready to be scrapped. The MR2's drive shafts are now strong as fuck, and the thing launches like a bloody rocket. And I'm knackered and gonna go home. Next video, realistically, I gotta time it, and I, again, but 0 to 60 and shit out this time, because it does seem to fucking move. So I'd like to see some numbers. So we'll do that next time. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe, show the world, share, tell everybody. You know, everyone wants one of these. Everyone can build one. It's quite easy. I've just shown you how in all my videos. So yeah, good times. See you later.